Come in on Dixon's greatest ever Christmas deal. Like this superb 14-inch Say-So Color TV, only $159.99. This Commodore computer starter pack with data recorder and software now under £50. Save £50 on this Fisher Twin Deck MIDI Hi-Fi with graphic equalizer. Save £150 on this JVC portable video camera recorder. Dixon's deals. We guarantee you can't buy better.
Hi everybody and happy Halloween. No, not joking. Evening Liz, evening Andy, hope you're okay. And everybody else who's watching tonight, hope you're having a good day. Hope you're all ready for Christmas. Not too far off now, just a week away. Is it a week tonight? It's Christmas Eve, so Santa will be flying about. I'm sure all the kiddywinkles are excited, waiting for him to come and drop his presents down the chimney. Are we having a good day? Are you two having a good day? It's been a bit of a hectic day today at work. It's been mental. I'm sure it is with anybody who's in retail at the minute. It's a bit crazy season as we call it. But all good fun. So, welcome to tonight's stream. It's something a bit different. If you've looked on my channel over the last few weeks, I've been doing a thing called What's in Santa's Sack, looking at various toys and electronics that were released through the 80s and 90s. It's quite interesting to see how things developed. We did a 2 pub crawl. That's just a pub crawl. I can guess which 2 you went to as well, knowing what you are. I saw the picture of you playing pool as well. I believe Liz won in the end, didn't she? Or is that... do we not talk about that? Merry Christmas, Scott. You okay? Is that Scott who I know? Scott Johnson. Yep. So, yeah, so I was saying, yeah, so I've been doing like, looking at the 80s and 90s. So what I thought I'd do tonight is something a bit different. Yes, mate, evening. You know all about this. You know what games we played when we were growing up and on Spectrum and stuff. And on the systems we had. Spent many hours playing all the games. So I thought I'd look between 1986 and 1992 and just have a look at sort of what the top selling games in the arcades were and what the games on the consoles and the computers were. Interestingly, when you look at what the top selling computer and consoles were amongst that period, there's one that as what remained in the top 3 for most of the years apart from one, which is interesting. It wasn't a big console over here, but it's still in the top 3. So Mario Kart was 1991, but it wasn't the top selling game across the world, I don't think, because there was another bigger game that came out during that time, but we'll see that in a minute. So we start with 1986. Good evening, Retro Chef, hope you're okay. Not too bad, mate. How's your world? I bet it's a bit hectic at the minute, isn't it? A bit busy. You got your 48k Spectrum for Christmas 1986. I can remember playing Target Renegade with you, I believe, and with your brother, and also the random one, Renegade 3, with the dinosaurs, which were a bit crazy. So, in 1986, the top-selling arcade across Japan and America was Hang On, the Sega game. And I couldn't believe, in Japan, it earned, very good times, mate, the earnings for it were $163 million. That is absolutely insane for Hang On. So, we'll put that on. I'm going to use CoinOps tonight because it's just easier to play the games when I'm streaming. 86 is when you were born. You're just showing off now, Liz. Our 4 years from leaving school in 86. Yeah, I know, and you've got a story, haven't you, about that, about how it just turned up one night, or your dad brought it or something. I remember you saying. I'm just going to turn the desktop volume down. I don't want it to blast me out, just make sure it's okay. So this isn't Super Hang On, this is the original Hang On. Where's my cursor gone? So have I gone past it? There we go. I remember seeing your C64 there, so I ended up for Christmas with Operation Wolf. Yeah, I loved our C64. Apart from the Amiga, and we had that MSX as well, if you remember. So everybody's played Hang On, the Sega game. The way it shifts sprites, you can sort of see why it was a top seller. Even the music, but the first one, I can remember seeing this at the fair, at the local fairground, in the arcades. Oh, wow, big bikes exploded. Totally way by the colours and music at that point. Yeah, the C64. But looking back, you know, now, I think the C64 is obviously a better computer, but the Spectrum, the arcade games, are more faithful to the actual games, arcade games. They didn't have the colours, but the games are more faithful to them, I think. Oh, I always thought with Hang On that the man in the bike looked bigger than the road. I don't know if it was just not... He always looked too big for the road sometimes. So if the arcade companies that... Well, the companies that put these in the shops, they might make some right money on them. 100 and whatever million pounds is a crazy amount of money. I'll look at the comments in a second. I'll only do a couple of laps on it because we've got quite a few games to get through. Whoa. I will look at, as I say, if you look at the What's in the Santa's Sack videos, I miss the old computer adverts and the way they used to advertise them. You don't see them anymore on the telly. And it's not the same, and I don't know if it's because I'm not a child anymore or what, but it just doesn't feel the same. I've said this many times before. Whoa. Sega are always really good at shifting sprites. They were the masters at it before 3D came out. Oh, I didn't make it anyway. So that was the top selling arcade game in Japan and America in 1986. Interestingly, in the UK it was a different game. Is this one where you were on a bike and you lean definitely specky hard? Better programming, yeah, definitely. Yeah, you used to lean on it, yeah, that's right. You leaned on it on the bike. Arcades just don't have the same status now, but it was always an event for me, the arcade games rocked up at the summer with the fun fair. Yeah, totally agree, mate. Totally. When we used to go to where it was and play them, like, were amazing. So, this was actually the game that was #1 in the UK arcades. It was actually called something else, so it wasn't Gradius, it was called was it Nemesis? Wait a second. If I can find it. Although still great to visit with the kids in tow. Yeah, I bet. Good evening, AD Sneak Freak. Nemesis, yeah, this was the #1 arcade game in the UK in 1986. Nemesis, that's what it was called, yeah. I knew it was something like that. Evening, by the way, are we okay? I can remember this. I think there was a computer conversion of this as well at the time. I think 86 was sort of the time when it was sort of starting to settle down with the computers. There weren't that many new ones coming out. There'd been a load in the past from 82 to 86 with like thousands of different types coming out, literally in the UK, like the Jupiter and MSX and all, God, loads of them, weren't the Oryx and stuff. And then it started to calm down after sort of 86 because you got the big three, like obviously with the Amstrad, Spectrum and the Commodore 64. with the 16-bit ones just coming up in the background. Oh, there's a button. Oh, what's that bit do? Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, computing later in the Game Boy. I played The Simpsons the other week in Whitby. They had some nice retro arcade games, but they're... Mate, if you want to try some retro arcade games, there's loads of them popping up now. There's one that's comes to Crestwell. I don't know if you've seen it advertised. In March it's coming back, and that has loads of... You pay like so much to go in, and it has loads of free play arcades, all the old ones. I took my daughter this year. In fact, there's a video on my channel of it if you want to watch it, and it's like... It's amazing. I'm definitely going back in March. It's just... And we've been to Arcade Club as well in Leeds. That's really good. But there's quite a few of them popping up all over the place now. These where you pay and play. Seem to be making a bit of a resurgence. Yeah, and it's not that expensive to go in, I think, to be honest. So that was Nemesis. That was the UK's #1 arcade game. Come out of that a second because I need to get my mouse cursor back right. The top 3 best home selling systems for '86 were at #1 the Nintendo Entertainment System. Retro Dome in Barnsley is amazing too. Yeah, that is true. I want to go there. Can you do a Christmas game? Yeah, I can. If you want, if you let me know what game you want, I'm sure I can slot it in. Or do you just want me to pick a Christmas game? I do know a few. #2 was the Commodore 64 worldwide. Now this is something interesting as well, because the way it breaks it down, I'll just put this on here. So I'm looking at Video Games Wiki. You can see it shows sales in the USA, sales in Japan, and sales worldwide. Now the Nintendo Entertainment System obviously was launched across the world, so adding them up, it was going to be the biggest seller. But the C64 worldwide, it had not been launched in those two areas at that point. And the third place was the Famicom Disk System. Interestingly, if you look right at the bottom, the Amiga and the Atari ST, that would solely be based, I would imagine, on Europe. Because at that time it was only launched here, and it was a much bigger seller here than it were anywhere else. So even though it was only launched in Europe, it was still getting into the top 10. But it never really made it any further up, which surprised me, because I thought the Amiga was really good, but obviously it was only big in Europe. So... Says any. Right. We'll have a look for one in a second then. So, this was the... let's have a look. Best-selling game worldwide home computer game for 1986. I'm sure you're going to know what this is. If you think about it, it's the NES that's the one that was the top-selling one. Find out where they are. Trust it to be all the way down the bottom. Can you guess what it is? Can you guess what it is yet? No, I best not say that, had I? Not with what he did. Let's see if we can get into it then. Pity there into search function on this, make it a lot quicker. So obviously it was Super Mario Brothers on the NES. That was the best-selling computer game worldwide in 1986. It sold something like 2, 3, 4, about 5 million copies, which is absolutely insane. Interestingly, the NES never did very well in the UK, did it? I don't think. I know it sold, but it was never as big, I don't think, as some of them. Yeah, I am going to do that as well, Edie. That's next. Because that's the interesting part of it, to be honest. Ooh, come on. Yeah, there's quite a few Santa Claus games. No worries, mate. Enjoy. I just wonder how many kids were playing this on Christmas morning back then. I used to remember seeing this. the memories I've got of I'm not very good at this game, as you can tell. The memories I've got of seeing this was seeing it in Boots in local town. They got one set up with Robbie the Robot in and you could play the demo of it and what have you. And I think they got Duck Hunt playing. That's what they had playing on it, so you could use the gun, and everybody were queuing up to play it. But I didn't know anybody. None of my friends had a NES. I don't think. Well, that's not to say it isn't a good console. It's just that I didn't know anybody who had it. Oh, I've lost me. Yeah, NES only started to sell well in the UK around the 90s when the NES came out, often on the opposite page catalogue as a cheaper option. That's a good point. I never really thought of it like that. If you were wanting to get a system, oh, I missed it again, for your child, and you couldn't afford the Super Nintendo, you'd go for the cut down version, which was a good, in reality, that's a good selling point, good selling tactic, isn't it, from Nintendo, really? Or whoever was putting it on, probably Argos and places like that. So yeah, so that's Super Mario on the NES. That was the best-selling worldwide game. So as AD has already asked, in the same friends with Master Systems but no NES, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So, believe it or not, the best-selling UK game back in 1986 was on the ZX Spectrum. And it was a game called Ye Are Kung Fu. That was the best-selling game of 1986. Yeah, every kid. Yeah, definitely. You either had an Amstrad, a Spectrum, or a Commodore. In the UK, consoles didn't really come to power until, you like say, till the 1990s. Now you'll have to excuse me because I've never played this game very much before. I think it's a bit like Street Fighter, I believe. Oh, and I've not set the joystick up right. So I'll have to go back into it. That's me. I never remember if it's Kempston or Sinclair. Try it again. No, yellow, yeah. They probably had enough at yellow at that point. Obviously this is the 128k version as well, because it's got sound effects. You had this. I think it's like an early version of... Why isn't it moving? Oh, yeah. But it's not working very well. Did I pick Kempston last time? I can't. Let's try one more time. If it didn't work this time, it's because it's on the specky. The flat guy flies across the screen, I reckon. A bit like I forgot some of the characters who used to fly across. Oh, they were one in Mortal Kombat, weren't they, that flew across? Fact. Let's go for the easy option. Let's redefine the keys. Let's go old school. So is that up left? Oh god, it's... This is going to be good. Damn right. Oh my god. I'm never going to be able to remember all these keys. In fact, we'll try. $48k, you forget, don't you? If it doesn't work this time, I'll put something else on, but yeah, I can't. Oh, we've got it. There we go. Oh, it does. There we go. Flied across the screen. It was very Street Fighter-esque. Was it made by Konami? Or am I thinking of something else? Wow. Oh, I like his kick. He's dead. I love the music. Ooh, what's that? Star. Very blue. Well, and a bit of white as well, I suppose. I bet this is pretty good in 2-player. I like the uppercut. Oh, some right good moves. Oh, and that split kick with a punch. I don't know. I was thinking that. It must have been up there with some of them. I don't know when Street Fighter came out. Did that come out in 88? Or that... I'm not sure. I'm not au fait, but it was... What was hit me with his pole? He's cheating. He's got a stick. I don't know what that noise is. The birds flying past. Yeah, so that's ER Kung Fu on the Spectrum, which was the best-selling game in '86. Let's come out of that. Right. So, I'll show you what the other ones were, interestingly. So, the top-selling games worldwide, Super Mario Bros. 2, a lot of sort of the RPG-type games. Kung Fu Master, that's a classic game. And then ER Kung Fu. Formula 1 Simulator by Mastertronic was number 2, which was a budget title. Commando, Green Beret, another classic game. Ghosts and Goblins, Paperboy. Kickstart's in there as well. Some classic games in there. And a lot of them, as I say, were a budget games. So that's pretty good. So I don't know, would you class Way of the Exploding Fist and IK Plus? But did IK Plus come... There was IK before IK Plus, weren't there? I don't know when they came out, to be honest. So, what I'll do now, I'll put on Zan's Christmas game, because I promised him that, and then we'll move on to 1987. So I've got a good game that's got Santa in it. If it's on here. Genesis, it was called Mega Drive. Oh, it's... No, I'm going the wrong way. Oh, it's not there. Where is it? Oh, I thought it... I see it's under S. No, it's not on there. We're going to put Christmas... Is it Christmas Days or... It's not Days of Christmas, is it? I know what I'll do. I'll go a better way than finding it. Save messing about. Let's go to Launchbox. That's always a better option. I can search for it then. Just make it take a few seconds for it to load up. Now it's called something like... I'm sure it's got Christmas in the title. I thought it were Christmas Days, spelled D-A-Z-E, or Days of Christmas, something like that. Come on, Mr. Launchbox. Don't take forever. There we go. I search for on there? Ah, that's better. I'll just have a look for days and then see if I can see it. If it's not there, I'll put a Santa one on. There we go. See if it'll play straight. Days before Christmas. That's it, sorry, yeah, that's the 180. To be honest, Scott, not many, because I play more of the indie stuff, the games that come out that are indie games. For the simple reason, and I know it's a running joke with my friends in a minute, I can't play 3D games because it makes me feel sick, which is, so that sort of limits me to what I can actually play. So this is Days Before Christmas. This came out on the Mega Drive and on the SNES, I think. What games do you play? Are you into COD and all that kind of stuff? No. Which is most of the games nowadays, unfortunately. What are you into? Do you play, what's your weapon of choice? Is it the Xbox or the PS5? Oh, don't call it. Oh, that's it. I think the thing is to collect the parcel, the presents. Oh yeah, you can turn into a bad Santa as well. How do I get... What's it? Anti-Santa, that's a bad thing, that bomb, I think. Anti-Santa. I never knew that as well, by the way, Andy, that the Weatherspoons has got a roaring real fire. I was well impressed with that yesterday. It's done as a PS5, so I mainly go on PS4, and that's now been relegated to the living room. So you went the Sony route. Oh. What's that? Did that kill me? Oh. Fell down the hole. So that's your Christmas game anyway. Hope you enjoyed it, Xander. Oh, where's that come out of there? Tend to jump on Apex Legends pure just to pick up and play and pass some time. Enjoy playing Metal Thing 2 back on the PS3. What's MW? Oh, bloody hell, my brain's gone blank. Somewhat war, isn't it? Modern Warfare, that's it. PS4 and 5 for the winners. There's so many limited running jack input games to collect and play. Wish to sell an Amiga 500 plus. Did you have one of them? Did you have the Cartoon Classics pack? Rocket League for us. They are talking about bringing out sometime soon the. Have you seen the Amiga Mini that's out? They're talking about bringing an Amiga Maxi out with a working keyboard. So you had Captain Planet and Deluxe Paint 3 and all that. That's what we had as well. So moving on to 1987. Now, can you guess what the most grossing out? I've already told you. Most grossing game was? Gross making game of that year was? Excuse me. Still have a CD32, CD2. So again, it's another sprite pusher. Chase HQ, yeah, that's the one, Andy. Do you know, I'd be tempted to get an Amiga Maxi. Because I did have the C64 Maxi for a bit. Then I ended up with the CD32, you know. But I was the same with the Amiga 1200. I got a 1200 and I was right disappointed with it compared to PC. When I used to go out to my mate's right corner. Everybody's played this game. Any arcade you've ever been to would have had this game. I remember playing this on the Commodore 64 and thought it were that term again as well, arcade perfect. Oh, this is arcade perfect. Something you don't hear nowadays, because most arcades are made from PlayStation or PC games or Xbox games. Arcade perfect, and when you look back, it was as much arcade perfect as you could far away get. The best version of this on the home systems is on the Mega Drive by a million miles, I think. Before you got to the ones that could emulate it properly, fully, you know, like the Saturn and stuff. Scott, can you remember when we met you that time in Skegness and we played WrestleFest in that arcade on the WWF game? I think it were in Ingemells or somewhere. Oh, did you ever get to the checkpoint? We played that game to death, WrestleFest. Evening music, man. Outrun or Robocop, yeah, Outrun. Yes, the mini's good for that. I'm an injured at this in the arcade. I like the one with the steering wheel, it's so much easier. And you couldn't pirate the games, very expensive for a 13-year-old kid. Spec-Ed sound tape to play while you played. It did. Andy had a tape playing on a Starglider 2 as well. Are you okay, music man? Hope you're doing well. It was the Golden Anchor. God, you've got a better memory than I have. I can't remember the campsite name. I just remember doing it. You just happened to be staying next door to you at the same time. Yeah, it was crazy, weren't it? I think the Amiga had two versions of Outrun. One developed for the US and one for Europe. One was better than the other. Yeah, you're right. They did. They were two different. Because in the UK, they sort of passed it to third-party companies, didn't they? I'm just trying to see what the UK version. Again, it was Outrun that was the top sellers. It made 194 million. Just have a look at some of the others. You got Arkanoid, R-Type, Afterburners in there, Double Dragon, Super Hang-On. Some top names in there. Wecklerman's 24. Remember that? That was circular thing you sat in, and it spun round. Some classic names. And look, the Street Fighter there in number 34 only made $12 million. But in the United Kingdom, it was Outrun, Bubble Bobble, Double Dragon, Afterburner, Operation Wolf, and 1942. Dan says he loves Outrun. Outrun's a good classic game. It was Outrun across the board. The top selling systems were again the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Commodore 64, and the Master System that had popped in. Interestingly, the PC was starting to appear in that list as well. Because this is basically just home systems as well. It's not like including like business types. The Amiga had dropped out at this point, but interestingly, the Atari ST was still in there, and the MSX was launched, so that dropped in. So, the best-selling game across Japan was Dragon Quest on the Famicom. I'm not going to play that because it's a bit of an RPG. In the United States, it was The Legend of Zelda. But here in the UK, I'm just having a look for it now. It was Outrun on the computers. Now I'm going to put Outrun on the Commodore 64 because that's the version I had. The version I played the most. PC Engineer's Weapon, and I can play. Freddie Mercury was number one at the time with Living on My Own. I know this because Andy kept singing it but changed the words to Grandad's hernia for some reason. Is that my Andrew? Is that my brother Andrew? Because if it is, he did all sorts of crazy stuff. If you remember, he was insane. He was insane back then. Good evening, Jambon. You okay? Long time no see. Hope you're all right. Yes, he was always insane. He had as we know. He got done at school for singing the wrong words to a song once, and I can't remember what it was. It might have been "Magnify My Name" or somewhat along them lines, and he was singing some random thing. Well, you know, you were insane. Some of the stuff he did back then. Oh God. I'll not have a time cheat on. I think this is the American version of it as well. It said, say it's US gold. The loading lines. Which one shall we go for? We'll go for this because you had to choose which one you were going to do as well. Then, because you could obviously it didn't split, not on the 8-bits anyway. He was always adamant. The SNES beat. Oh yeah, the amount of arguments we used to have. Let's have that one. Oh look at that! I told you it were arcade perfect, didn't I? Can hardly tell the difference. But as a kid, you did think it were good because you could play it. It's not like now where you could just pick up and it's like it is amazing graphics. Well, you all know this. You were all the same era, so. The 64, oh, he's gonna know. He always had good music. The SID chip's amazing. I love the music on the C64. It's so. Oh. Well, Amiga couldn't do Star Fox. He quoted Mode 7. He did it all the time. The Amiga, though, was much more of an all-rounder, weren't it? Let's face it. The SNES was more of... It was a games console. That's exactly what it did. But you couldn't make music on the SNES. You definitely couldn't do Deluxe Paint. You got Mario Paint, but that wasn't the same thing. They were two different beasts, weren't they? Let's face it. Mode 7 was always the big thing though, weren't it? Oh, the Amiga can't do Mode 7. And then they even tried to do it. Can you remember Bob's Bag Day where it had some random scrolling stuff on the screen? And Brian the Lion. It was same as like they always tried to emulate the speed of Sonic. And they did Tearaway Thomas, which is that unplayable. It's so fast, it's just crazy, but it is no gameplay at all. I don't know. Playground Wars, eh? It's never gone away though, because it's PlayStation 5 and Xbox now, isn't it? Even though technically they're both the same, they're just PCs in a box with a bit of a unique operating system. It doesn't do bad to shift the sprites around on the C64 version of this. I'm not going to knock it. Obviously, it's not as good as the console versions. The Amiga version was terrible of this as well. So that's Outrun on the Commodore 64, the best-selling game of 1987 on the computers. Tearaway Thomas, oh my god, I still have nightmares on that. I think again there's a video on my channel about it because it's so terrible. Ferrari badge is massive, yeah. Did the Amiga ever have a light gun like the Super Scope though? I think it did have a light gun, didn't it? But it was it like the C64 one? Was it like called Phaser or something like Phaser? APB on the IBM. God, yeah. Again, there's some classic games in there for the UK, like Leaderboard, Feud, that were a brilliant game, BMX Simulator, Milk Race. I remember that was Mastertronic. I had that on the Spectrum. But Outrun was the biggest selling, 350,000. But look at in the United States. That's the difference in the sales. The Legend of Zelda on the NES sold 2 million plus, so almost what 6 times as many as we are sold in this country. We're a smaller island, so I suppose it makes sense. So moving on to 1988. Now, it's interesting in 1988 because Codemasters made some great games on the C64. They made some great games full stop, didn't they? So we'll do the Japanese game first. And you're gonna know all these games because they're bestsellers. So I would hope you would. Not too far to go for this one though. And you guess what it is? So the best, Ian Copeland, yeah. I actually met the Oliver twins at Replay in Blackpool, and I've got a picture where they stood next to them where they've got the original drawing of the levels for one of the Dizzy games. This is Afterburner again, a classic game. When this came in the arcades, especially the one with the stick, it was like wow. Because it was around the same time as Top Gun, weren't it, as well, I bet. See if I can do the roll, but I can't. It's that many years since. Oh, yeah, we can. Woohoo! The rolling, scrolling on the thing as well. Yeah, you do. You have got the arcade bezel, I know, in your man cave. Insane how games are made in the garage by a couple of blokes back then. Yeah, bedroom coders. Now they're made by a team that spends 20 billion on something like bloody Grand Theft Auto 6 that's still not out and it's had bloody million years development. Got no missiles. One of my favourite films, and I like Top Gun, don't get me wrong, and I like Top Gun Maverick, I think that's brilliant, but can you remember Iron Eagle? Which is like a low budget version of Top Gun, with Chappie in, or Louis Gossett Jr., I can't remember his name. Is it British or have they been bought out? I don't. Oh yeah. Well, didn't all the modern? Oh, I'm dead. So that was the best-selling arcade game in Japan. Now the UK was slightly different, and I have very good memories of this in the arcades. Hearing it scream across the thing. A lot of the old sort of 16-bit era software houses were bought out, and they still exist today, don't they? But under different names, or the origins come from somewhere else. Rockstar, isn't it? Operation Wolf. You could always hear that scream out across the arcades. I'm not going to be very good at this because I ain't got the mouse. I don't think it's mouse controlled as well. You watched it great. What was that on? Was it on the internet or was it on the telly? Can I use the mouse? Oh, I can use the mouse. Thank God for that. You see this as well. Just by adding a gun to the cabinet made it 10 times better. I've run out. Spent hours on this Master System version of it. Did that have a gun to it? That had a light gun, didn't it? The Master Division. Oh, don't shoot the women. The home versions of this ain't too bad as well, to be honest. Netflix, alright, I'll have to have a look for that. Have you seen the document? You must have seen Microman, the BBC documentary about the rivalry between Sinclair and Acorn. It was, yeah, you're right, Jamban. It was Call of Duty back in its day. It was before the advent of 3D, proper 3D. So that was the UK's best-selling one. The top-selling systems were the Nintendo again, the Sega Master System, and the Commodore 64. So there's top three again. But look at number 4, IBM Personal PC. Now I remember the first PC I ever got, given, it was a CGA 286, and the first game I ever played on it was MiG-29, and it was a cover disc that came free on the Amiga, the PC Format magazine. But that was a bit later on. That was 93, I think. But even back then, it was still in the top 4 as a selling system. The Mega Drive was starting to creep in. Again, that had only been released in Japan at that point, though, and it had already sold 400,000. Look at the PC Engine, though. Number 6, 83,000. Macintosh, you can't believe the Apple Mac sold that many as well. Because, again, that wasn't really a big gaming system back then. It was more, what do you call it, where you made the papers and stuff. You know, like where you made newspapers and stuff. It was really well known for that, for the art type thing. And the Amiga at number 9. Oops, what's gone off there? So, the best-selling computer game, again, was Dragon Quest III in Japan. But in the United Kingdom, it was... I'm just looking down the list now. It was one on the ZX Spectrum. On the NES, it was Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. It doesn't really say what the best-selling one is, but it sort of indicates it was this one. So let's have a look at it. So it was on the Spectrum, and I'm sure again everybody had played this. Operation Wolf in there, Bombjack, Target Renegade again, Outrun. Daley Thompson's Olympic Challenges in there, but this it suggests that this is the best selling. But again, Robocop, this music, the Ariston music as I call it. Save the public trust. Classified. Shoot him. Again, even though it was just 2 colours, black and white, it's still a good game. It is. Well, even though it's rock solid, it's pretty super solid on all systems. I'm gonna die here because he's gonna get me. Oh, once you get shot, you can't move. Yeah, of course I can. We'll put it on now if you want. Because I'm only gonna get shot to pieces anyway. Because I'm terrible at it. On any system, to be honest. I might be better on Amstrad. Let's have a look. Again, the Amstrad. Even though now I know it was a good system because I played some right crackers of a game. At the time, I didn't know many people with them. See the Blockbuster movie on video available from the 11th. Because Ocean went out on a limb with this, didn't they? They bought the rights without even knowing the game was going to be any, the film was going to be any good. And lucky for them, it was a massive hit. So the game sold like wildfire. I bought this game for my seventh birthday, along with Double Dragon, another classic game.
The public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law.
The Amstrad always had good graphics, without doubt. I'm gonna die. It's so hard. One of my favourite Amiga games is the third one, the 3D one, on with the travelling around the streets and stuff. We used to drive around the streets and not play the game right, just doing right things like that. It did look... The Amstrad, like I say, is the unsung hero, I think. Because back in the day, not many people had them. Well, not that I know of anyway. Have I lost my gun? Oh, I'm dead. I'm going to have lost my gun. I need some bullets. I'm going to do a runner. I'm going to storm it. Go, 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 go. I think that's the secret to it. Just keep running. That bullet went through him. Run, run. Run, Forrest. Oh, I've got a three-way. This where robot? Is this where Ed 209 comes in a minute? Oh, this is the gun level, isn't it? Oh God. Oh. Oh. It's... Oh, I've shot through the head. Oh. Hit him. Oh, I didn't do it. I remember being a bit disappointed with Robocop once I got it. Graphics weren't great on the Spectrum for that game. Depending on where you were, Amstrad was actually a best-selling 8-bit micro in West Germany. Yeah, I know, in France and Italy it was amazing, weren't it? I know that. Just because I know, even today it's still got a big following. Oh. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to do this. Through the skirt. Ah, is that how you do it then? Oh. Ah, I didn't know that. Is he dead? Oh, right. Yep, so that's Robocop anyway. I could play that all night. I get addicted to it. So, and that was the best-selling 8-bit or computer game in the UK. So you've got, like I say, you've got a good memory, Scott. But I'm getting older. You're younger than me. You probably can remember all these things. So we're moving into 1989. So we're scooting along. Boom. So let's have a look. So I'm not. So the top-selling game, arcade game, was Tetris. I'm not going to play Tetris because it's not the most exciting game. But this was the year that one of, and it was a big seller in both the United States and in Hong Kong. Yeah, in the UK though, it would depend on if your town had Amstrad distribution, but it outsold the other two from 85. Just the other two had 3 years head start. Yeah, yeah. I remember seeing it in Dixon's. I remember seeing it set up, and I can remember seeing the adverts on the telly as well. With the because it had, did one have a green screen monitor and one came with a colour monitor, I believe. So you have to excuse my ignorance because it wasn't a computer that I had much to do with back in the day. So I remember seeing this game in the arcades and it totally blew me away. Absolutely blew me away because this was the start, really, of the sort of 3D revolution, if you like. For me, anyway. I don't know whether it plays very well. Yep, cheaper on a green screen, which is the same as the colours rocked. Definitely. Now, whether this plays alright on MAME, I'm not sure, because I don't know if they set the joystick up right, because it was very difficult to set up. Because obviously, it's used to having a steering wheel. But when I saw this, I just stood and watched the demo for ages. I couldn't get over, because it was like, it actually had like a... It was. What start? I need to find drive. Put shifter into drive. I don't know what drive. You remember the cow? Oh, missed the cow. Whoa, my God. We're going for a spin. Get back on the road. It had a clutch and everything, yeah. I love this game. I loved it on, you know, believe it or not, oh, I did like it on the Spectrum. I thought the Spectrum version was ace. It was, well, I'm not even going to talk about the Commodore 64 version of it, because, oh my God, it's probably the worst Commodore 64 game you're ever going to see. And anybody who's played it will definitely agree with me. I bought the Wheels of Fire compilation because that's the first time hard driving came out on the Commodore 64. Because I wanted it, I loved it, and I thought, oh, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be amazing. I played it on the Spectrum. Oh my God, I was so disappointed, I was gutted. Whoever made it, I think had their eyes shut. Mind you, the problem was, oh my God. Oh, spin rather. The 64 was never very good at 3D, not compared to the Spectrum. The Spectrum was better at it. Again, you'd have to tell me what the Amstrad version was like, AD, because I've never played it, I don't think. Oh, I'm going to die. Yo, evening, Nath. This game was on the SNES too, without the FX chip. Terrible. Was it bad? The FX chip that came with, was it Stunk Race FX or something, I believe. The Specky was a good version. The C64 was shocking. But do you know about the secret on this game? That if you turn to the right, you can go down a secret road. That takes you to something, a tower at the bottom. And I don't know what that road was for, but you can see it on the thing. I don't know if it were like... Oh. Bloody hell. It's like some random tower in the middle of nowhere. I don't really know what it was for. It was just put there for any reason, I'm not sure. But anyway, so that's hard driving. That was one of the top sellers in the UK. The cabinet, that cabinet race, I remember seeing that cabinet. I remember seeing it in the cinemas as well when they had it in there. Played it, oh, it were amazing. So now there's a new contender in the top selling systems. So we've still got the NES. The NES is like, you can't believe it stayed in the top 10, top 3 for like, out of all the years looking at tonight, for all of them apart from one, and that was the last one. Oh, Stunt Car Race is a classic game. I played that because my brother had an Amiga. We used to link them up and play and race on it. It's amazing. I still play Stunt Car Race today. I love it. Stunt Car Race is an amazing game. So NES Game Boy at number 2. It sold 2.5 million worldwide. The handheld, so the handhelds were starting to come in. The C64 was still hanging on there. PC Engine moved up to number 4, which again is impressive because it were only sold in Japan and the US. Mega Drive was still moving up. The Amiga was still hanging in at number 10, and the IBM PC had dropped at that point, so Master System was dropping out as well. But it's interesting that the Master System didn't stay up there with the NES, because they were very similar consoles, in reality, 8-bit. So again, that year, the best-selling home video game was Super Mario Brothers on the NES, which is interesting. So I gather, like AD mentioned before, they probably did some deal where they had it on offer or with the system, and that's one of the reasons why it was up there in the top thing. Oh, the PC Engine, it was like the Neo Geo, weren't it? It was that everybody wanted one, but obviously in this country they never released it. And it was like the Golden Chalice. If you knew anybody, I didn't know anybody who'd got one of those because they were like games. Well, they were basically, especially the Neo Geo, it was like the arcade in a box. But yeah, the PC Engine. I know you own 2 now. It's not the same now. I bet you didn't own 2 back in 1989. Super Mario Brothers 3 was in Japan. And again, in the UK, the top-selling game for 1989 was RoboCop, which is interesting again because it stayed in there. If you look at the sales as well, so Operation Wolf were January, February, March, but then in came RoboCop again for the ZX Spectrum, so it had lasted in. So it had followed over from the previous year. Crazy Cars is in there, Paperboy, then Chase HQ was just starting to make its appearance. But if you look at that Ocean. So from January, February, March, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 12 months, Ocean was the top-selling game software programmer in the UK, that just shows what they were like. Back in the day, they were really good, very clever. That Dave guy was very clever, very astute. I forgot his surname now, but he's on. That's something else you need to watch, Scott. If you haven't, have you ever seen Commercial Breaks, the BBC program on YouTube? That is really good to watch. It's set, I think, is it 1984, where it's like a fly on the wall documentary. They were following Ocean and Imagine to see what their Christmas games were going to be, and while they were filming it, unbeknownst to them, Imagine went bust, and it's the story of that. Really interesting to watch. One of my favourite documentaries. I watched it loads of times. So we're now into a new decade, the 1990s. So what do you think the top-selling arcade was in 1990 by a country mile? Does anybody know? I remember Crazy Cars on the Specky. I've never played it on the Specky. I played it on the Amiga. So, this was the biggest selling arcade game of 1990. It stayed as the big... right, so in January, Golden Axe was the top selling game. And then from February to December, it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Hero Turtles. We'll have a quick blast on it. I'm not going to play it for ages because I say it plays forever. Obviously the arcade was 4-player. Can you remember the 4 joysticks on it? God, this is so 1990s. Turtle power. Even today, this has still come out, hasn't it? On this, is it on the Switch? On the other system, they brought like a classic pack out, haven't they? The Simpsons, yeah, that's the other one, wasn't it? Didn't it use the same system, I believe? This actually came out on the Commodore 64, believe it or not, and I never knew that till years later. I don't know if it came out. I don't think it came out on anything else. It definitely didn't come out on the Amiga. They had the crappy version that was rubbish. I play both on my cab. Definitely a coin guzzler this way. They knew what they were doing. Hurry! Oh, I can't win yet. I had an LCD handheld Turtles game. Massive letdown, I bet it was. If you were expecting something like this, and it were like an LCD. Mind, was that by Konami by any chance? Or Grandstand or somebody like that? Or it might have been Tiger Electronics, but I don't know. I bet it was somebody like that. April would get it. Uh-oh. It's Mr. Evil. Is that Rocksteady? Or Bebop? I never... Oh. That's not very nice, is it? Got a special move. It's got a machine gun. Yes, but I've got the power of infinite coins now, so you can get ready. Rhino head. Say your prayers, toy dolls. Like I say, it was interesting that in the UK they couldn't use the word ninja, could they? They had to use the word a hero instead. And I don't think they could have nunchucks, because I think nunchucks at that point were banned. Great get it is, it's a classic game. I bet most people played this back in the day. Oh, that classic where you just finish it and then you run off with the heroin. Not the heroin as in the drug, but the person, obviously. Make that. Yeah, so that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was #1 in the arcades across, well, everywhere basically. There were some other games that were littered. The Japanese one, like G-Lock Air Battle. Can you remember G-Lock? That was like a more modern version of Afterburner. Final Fight was out during that time as well, and Maiden. Final Lap. Yeah. Hard Driving was still about. Big Run, I remember Big Run. I had that on the Amiga, the racing game. Preferred G-Lock to Afterburner. Was G-Lock the one that had the 360 arcade thing in London? Or was that a different game? Okay, mate. Thanks for joining. See you later, Andy. See you, Liz. See you, Xander. Thanks for watching. So, the top selling home systems were the Game Boy, the NES, and IBM PC had moved into #3, believe it or not, at that point. So it was starting to spread its wings now. This is when it sort of started to come into its own. And I think it was 94 when I got my PC, a 486 SX25. And that was my foray into it. But Mega Drive's moving up there. Interesting though, I can't see the SNES. And I thought the SNES might have been coming up there, but again, PC Engine, Master System still in there, Amiga still holding its own. At this point, the Commodore 64 is starting to die and drop off a bit, but still at number 10 in the top-selling systems. So the top-selling home video game worldwide was Super Mario Bros. 3, with Tetris in second place. Seeing what the UK one was. But who was that by? Now I think, again, I don't know how well this will play. Let's play it on the Amiga because that's when I remember it on. So obviously, this is what we got. Because again, it was the best-selling game, but it was, like I say, it was called Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, and it wasn't the arcade version of it, which is what everybody wanted back in the day. Boy, it wasn't that. So this is what we got instead, and obviously we weren't that happy about it. So this is made by Konami. Excuse me. No. So there's a slight difference to what we've just been playing. It's just coin ops, mate. It's, to be honest, it's coin ops with like the packs added to it. It's just easier when you're streaming than having to try and set up the emus for each one. It just makes it easier to play. I know some people like to mess about and set their own up, but for streaming I prefer this. I've just actually, I don't know if you've seen on my channel, bought one of the sticks that's advertised on a lot of TikTok shops. And to be honest, it's pretty good. And since I've been messing with it, I've actually found there's like a hidden menu. It's got all the Amiga games on. So I'm going to try them. I had this, yes. I don't know where I'm supposed to be going here. Because I can't get up there. I can't jump. Not that way, is it? Excuse me. Is it? Oh, could I change my... I've got none of the other things there. So it's going to have to be that. How do you jump? It was crap, yeah. It is crap. I'm going to move on to something different because I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, exactly. I think 900... Well, everybody who bought this game went to the shop. Because it was, if you remember as well, it was in like the little cardboard boxes. It wasn't in like a cassette case or a disc case. It was in like a little small cardboard box that just got the disc in. I think it was like light blue, I believe, weren't it? Or something like that. So you thought it was going to be the arcade, and it wasn't. Oh, what's that? That's past. I don't want that. Let me shut that down. Yeah, we were all very disappointed back then by this version of it. Anyway, they sold as a dummy, I think, on that one. So we now move into 91. We've only got one more year left after this. So 91 was the year I got my Amiga. That's when I got the Cartoon Classics pack. For me, that's when I got the best computer I've ever had, with the PC close second and the C64. But there is literally one game that blew everybody away in this year. There is actually, WrestleFest is in there, but it was only at number one for like one month, and that was in September. But does anybody know what game it is that blew everybody away in 1991? I'm sure you do. No, it wasn't Sonic. In the arcades, sorry, I should say in the arcades. Street Fighter 2, you knew it. Well done, Jambon. Street Fighter 2 is where it all began. Yeah, you used to play, didn't you, Nath, with Andrew? With his crazy bloody cheating, get you in a corner and do his silly moves until you couldn't get out. I used to hate. I wouldn't play him. I wouldn't play him at Street Fighter 2. We'll play the original version, not the hyper version or any of those. This was the start of the proper. This is where the fighter games took off, I think. I know there was games out there already, and like on some of the other systems. World Warrior. I'm not even going to claim to be very good at this because I'm not. I need my brother here. He's the better at this game. Oh, look at that. I think that's the best I've ever done on this game. Jesus. I don't think I've ever done that, ever. Jesus Christ. Perhaps I'm a Street Fighter master just 30 years too late. I can't remember what fireball. Oh, don't get... No. Can I do a fireball? No. Can't lose now. Get that. The hours you must have played this, Nath with Andrew. And Mortal Kombat, that's another game you used to play to death. I won't play him at that. Whenever we go to these like things with these arcade places you can play for free, I won't play him at them because he'll just thrash me out. So just. But saying that, I always beat him at Sensible Soccer. I could thrash him at Sensible Soccer. He used to play. He used to play all the bloody hack versions. So like, I don't know which one it was. It was on SNES because if you remember, our friend, he used to have the that, what was it called? Was it the magic card or something? I don't know. Where you'd like put discs in instead of cartridges. So he used to have out these hack versions where you could do a fireball and just walk behind it and then do a move, and he was like, he used to do all that kind of stuff. He used to spend hours learning all the flipping different tricks. Shouldn't he? Put your trousers on. Oh, get down. Yeah, so that's Street Fighter 2, the best-selling game of 1991 by a million miles. Nothing even came close to it. It was like #1 forever. So the top-selling systems were the Game Boy. The Super Nintendo's come steaming in straight at #2 with 5 million sales worldwide. The NES was still in there, still hanging on at #3. So it's been around now since '86. So that's 5 years it's been in the top 3 as a top 7. They must have made an absolute fortune from the NES. Mega Drive dropped into #4, so there you've got your big names in the top 4. This is when the big hitters started to take over the console market, and they were the ones who dominated going forward with your Sega and Nintendo. And obviously then in the 2000s along came Microsoft and Sony, who then took over the mantle. But you've still got the IBM in there, the Master System's hanging on. At this point the C64's dropped out completely. If you notice though, the Spectrum never entered it at all, which is interesting. Excuse me. The Game Gear at #9, and just hanging on still in '91 was the Amiga, but that's when I got mine. But if you look, the sales of the Amiga were 1 million. If that had been years before, they'd have been in top 5. But because the other consoles were selling so many more now, like you said, the Game Boy sold 7 million, literally. So 7 times as much as the Amiga sold. It's a shame the Amiga never took off in the countries like America and Japan, because it was a good machine, but yeah, such a shame. And obviously, I think you've probably already seen it, but the best-selling home video game for the consoles in the UK, because it was that year, it's already been mentioned. Yeah, when Street Fighter 2 came out, I think I gave up on the Amiga, which is a shame. Look back on it. Yeah, the problem was when they brought Street Fighter 2 out on the Amiga, oh my god, it was shocking. 4 discs it was, and it was terrible. They could have done a lot better with it, because they did years later, they made versions of it obviously. But they just rushed it out, didn't they? Let's face it. And, well, there were other good games. Look at Body Blows, that were a classic game. You just needed somebody decent to make a version of it, but they didn't do it, unfortunately. And you look back and it's such a shame, because this is where the consoles start to take over. Where's Sonic 1? There we go. So obviously this came out in 91 as well. Yeah, they did. They pissed them off, didn't they? Because I don't know if you've seen I've watched the stories with Dave Pleasance, and he talks about how they did stupid deals, didn't they, before he came along? Like offered, was it Sears to get them more back if they didn't sell and stuff? And they were like some right crazy things. Tearaway Thomas. Yeah, let's not mention Tearaway Thomas. This again was up there with the classic. This will go down in history. Giving your console a character. I suppose the Amiga had Zool, didn't it? But again, it's still not as good as Sonic. Just the level design and everything is just perfect on this game. And the speed and everything. The obviously sad thing about the Mega Drive was its sound chip wasn't that good sometimes. If you've ever played Street Fighter 2 on it, you know why. It's just terrible. It's like, the speech is horrible. I bet everybody's seen as well versions of this on Games Master and Games World where they're doing trials to see who can finish it the quickest. Bumping into stuff. Yeah, the Amiga was an amazing example. Try playing sensible soccer on any console. It's not as good as the Amiga. Amiga also had far better sound than the consoles. Oops, I'm reading the thing and not looking what I'm doing. Yeah, Sensi Soccer on the Mega Drive and on the SNES is horrible. Because you can't... I don't know what it is. You know, like on the Amiga where you can let the ball roll in front of you and then come in on it? You couldn't do that on those because it stuck to your feet. It was so much more difficult to do. And that was one way, like, getting goals and things. It's like the likes of Cannon Fodder. It was good. Like, one of my favourite games on the Amiga is North and South. I don't know if you ever played that. I love that game. Especially 2-player. It's brilliant. I'm not going to get the diamond because I never do. Oh, there we go. Told you I wouldn't do it. Yeah. So that's Sonic, the best-selling game on in the UK. Well, I think it was the best-selling game worldwide as well. 2.8 million copies sold. Yeah, North and South's amazing. I love that game. Just for, if I can find it, for shits and giggles. Let's see if it is on here, but I don't think it will be. The Amiga's attempt at it. At speed. Oh, it is. Oh my god. The most uncontrollable game you're ever going to play in your life. If it loads up. Probably crash the system. Okay. It's virtually unplayable. Sonic had a lot to answer for with those other rubbish mascot platformers. You see, all they could think about was the speed. That's all they wanted to emulate, the speed. But it wasn't just about speed for Sonic. Yeah, it was fast, but it was also the gameplay. I don't know if I can get back up there now, can I? I always think if Wish did Sonic, this is what you'd get. Can you imagine if you got Sonic and then you played this at your friend's house? No wonder they were laughed at us sometimes. Oh, it's like you. I will put that next. Yeah, it was accessible for all developers. The most popular game on the Amiga, probably Sensible Soccer. Lotus 2's up there. Stunt Car Racer, F1 Grand Prix. So there's loads of them. Chaos Engine, Syndicate. There's so many good games on the Amiga. It did have a sample-based sound chip, which was bad, but it also had FM tone generator on the board, so it could use synthesis sounds for waveforms. That's called the Amiga. The SNES could only use samples. Yeah, because you were into the music on it, weren't you? You used to make songs on it, didn't you? I remember. Let's play Kid Chaos. On the... Did you have an ST, Nath? Because I know you were into music, I remember. But I know you're into Amiga as well, because you mod songs, and my brother was as well. He used to sample stuff. What was it? Kid Chaos. Kickoff 2, I remember playing that for ages as well. Kickoff 2 now is so hard. Even though I used to be really good at it, it's so difficult. I think it doesn't help with not having a joystick or playing it on a pad, but that's something else as well. I could never get along with pads. I was always a joystick person back in the day. But again, that's probably because I went down the Amiga route, so... Oh, if it's magnetic fields, it's going to be good. That sound just reminds me of Lotus 2. Nicola Atari ST with Cubase, that was it, Cubase, yeah. I don't think I've played this, but I might have. You could always tell when games were made by proper houses, proper software houses who'd got like a bit of reputation behind them. It is very Sonic-like, isn't it? This, I can't believe how much Sonic-like it is. It is a rip-off of Sonic, but with like different graphics. When did this come out? I didn't see the year it came out. Team 17, they were my favourite developers back in the day. Lee's likeable character. He reminds me of the guy from Home Alone. A bit of a Neanderthal type creature. His brother, Buzz. Definitely inspired from Sonic, isn't it? Definitely. Yeah, Team 17 is still going, I think. They were a demo house, so weren't they? You could tell they knew how to make the Amiga sing, basically, didn't they? Do more damage. Give it a baseball bat, yeah. Can I get in there? How much damage do you have to do? Are you supposed to be smashing the place up? Smashing the flowers up. Kill some birds as well. Oh, I can't get in still. Yeah, so that's Kid Chaos anyway. Very solid guess. I know I've not played that before, I don't think. Or if I have, I can't remember it. So, Super Mario World, that was a big game again at that point in time. Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles are still hanging on in there. Some Magic Land Dizzy on the ZX Spectrum, believe it or not. That was at number 1 in April, May and June. This is based on the CV and G charts. Again, so many good games. Sonic, PC Kid, RoboCod on the Mega Drive, Lotus Turbo 2, my favourite game on the Amiga probably. Played that so many times. WrestleMania on the home computers though weren't that good, was it? It was again. I was expecting WrestleFest, what was on the arcade, and it wasn't nothing like WrestleFest. Speedball 2, another classic game there. Brutal Deluxe. Yeah, it is a classic. It's got to be said. Super Mario World, again, yeah, it's one of the legends, isn't it? The almost that are never going to fade away, if you like. So, we move on to the last year, 1992. So, Street Fighter 2, look at this. Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior, was still... Now what? Look at that, it's made. Is that £4.8 billion? No, sorry, £2.3 billion worldwide in sales. That is just insane. It's also the year's highest grossing entertainment product. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 had come out, so that was behind it. It's insane, that amount of money. It's totally insane. The best-selling consoles, Game Boy had now moved into number 1 with 11 million. Super NES was still at number 2, Mega Drive at number 3. NES was still there at number 4. I can't believe it's still there. And it sold 6 million copies, 6 million things worldwide again. Mental. It's crazy. IBM PC, the Amiga had dropped off at this point, which is a shame because it had started to die now at this point, I believe. 92 was probably a good year for it, but then after that, with the release of the 1200 and the CD32, they were already in trouble at this point, weren't they, with the sales? Excuse me. It's such a shame because they just didn't have the foresight, did they? They didn't know how to move it forwards. PC had already started to come in, they were starting to make games, and then with the advent of 3D cards on the PC, in 95, 94, 95, it could then compete with the likes of the PlayStations. Yeah, crazy as games wise, Amiga best years 93 and 94. 92 kind of felt like an end of it gaming wise. Amiga, yeah. It's sad because they tried to hang on in there with the CD32, but the problem was you were releasing a system and advertising it as a CD system, yeah. But that's not where it was going. It was going 3D, weren't it? And when you look, a year later, that the PlayStation came out, they're worlds apart, literally worlds apart. All the CD32 had were Amiga games with backgrounds, literally. You had the odd FMV game like Microcosm, which was good, but it was never going to hold up against the new generation of consoles. Yeah, they did, but if you think about it, the 3DO, again, Need for Speed is a classic game. On the 3DO, Need for Speed is probably my favourite version of that game, the original one. Closely followed by the PC because it's very similar. The CDI was sort of, yeah, it were more FMV focused, weren't it? It were like supposed to be the entertainment. The irony is they've got the right idea. They've got the idea that the next generation, well, the consoles were going to be like an entertainment system in the front room, and that's exactly now what PS5 and Xbox are. They're all rounders. You watch Netflix on them, you play games. They're all round systems. So they had the right idea, but most of it's the same old story over and over again. Most of these systems led the way, but didn't quite make it at the time. Yeah, I agree, AD. Totally agree. The 1200, if it had come out in 91, would have been, wow, this is something different. But it came out at the time when, and I've said this on the 50-year video I did when I look back over the years of me playing games. When I wanted to play, I think it was 4D Sports Driving without it stuttering. And when my mate had got a PC 486, I know it were a bit faster, it were just worlds apart again. His were playing smooth, mine was still stuttering, and I just played at £350 for a new machine that I thought was going to be a lot better. And I think that was the problem. We were probably spoiled from like the leaps from like the Spectrum and the C64 to the Amiga, because it was quite a big jump. We expected the same leap again from the Amiga to the 1200, and it just wasn't there. It's sad, because I say the Amiga is my favourite system totally. Out of all the systems I've ever owned, it's the most I hold with most memories. So, excuse me. So I'm just gonna have a look to see what. Yeah, it's. And then I sort of went onto the PC, and then it's almost like a different life again. Because on the PC it was totally different. I just remember writing auto-exec backs and config systems trying to get games to work because of the memory, the 640k memory limit at the time. And then along came 3D cards, and it were like, that were it. Yeah, thanks for joining, Jambon. I hope you have a great Christmas too, you and your missus. I hope you have a good Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like you say, it was all down to the management, weren't it? They just didn't have a direction they needed to go in, and if they had done, they would have gone. But Apple was so lucky, because they were going the same direction. It's only because they pulled something out the bag that it saved them. And then when the iPhone came, that was it. It was like, no, they had this license to print money then, didn't they? So one of the best-selling games of '92 was on the Mega Drive. And it's not what you think it was. It was at number 1 for 3 weeks, so let's have a look at that. There's 2 actually. We'll look at two last games. So, on the Mega Drive, this was the number 1 game. I used to have what's the name? The CV1, you know, the virtual reality glasses for the CV1, and it was really brilliant. In fact, Andy, who's been on the chat, who's not, and he's still got his now, and my mate's got one up Scotland, and we used to there's a program called Big Screen. It's like a cinema, and we used to go in it on VR, and whoever was in charge could connect their computer screen and play whatever on the big screen, like on a cinema, and we used to play games on it and watch films together. That used to be brilliant, and like Beat Saber's really good, but I don't know. I think they're going the right way with the MetaQuest 3 with this sort of integrated AI with like the background and stuff, where you can like have Minecraft in the real world. That's the way to go. But again, I don't know. Have you got one? Have you got one of the VR headsets? My daughter's got the. Is it the Quest 2, the white one that's like separate, where it doesn't connect to the PC, or you don't have to have it connected to the PC? Sorry, I'm talking and not looking for the thing. So, Desert Strike on the Mega Drive was one of the bigger selling games of the year in '92. Cool. Ooh. Didn't want to land. I love Desert Strike. What was the cheat on the Amiga? Was it something like rainbows or something, or unicorns or something? Which is missile? Oh, that's missiles. Oh, just shot a friendly one. I always see a lot getting. This was obviously cashing in on what was going on in the Middle East at the time, weren't it? Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, so let's make it. So the last game of the night we're going to play was the best-selling game on the Amiga that year. I also see a lot getting sold off. Yeah, they do sell a lot off. I think it's because the MetaQuest 3's come out though. You see, as they move on, the thing what I found with the CV1 as well, wearing glasses, this was a shortfall I think on their part. Wearing glasses, you had to wear it over the top of your glasses. So it made it uncomfortable. But they could have made it so that it could adjust to your eyes and made it clear. That's simple software programming. But they didn't, and I think that made it a bit annoying as well. No, I've not seen it. I'll see if I've got that in a second. So this is the top selling game on the Amiga that year. We've already mentioned it, we know what it is anyway. I don't know if you've seen on the channel, I actually did an interview with John Hare who made this game, and we talked about Sensible Soccer. I love this game. Out of all the Amiga games, along with Lotus 2, this must be the one I've played the most, especially with my brother. We used to play hours on this. But my brother used to get face on it if I'd score loads of goals. Oh, it's randomised and it's on your side, the computer. No. Such a clever idea for a game, but such an easy game to play. Oh, that's right, good. Is that something you've downloaded then? Why are they both the same colour shirts? That's going to be interesting. Oh, excellent. Oh, it is a bit more difficult to play on the... Oh, where are they? I'm going to go for a super shot then. He just took it off him. Iceland aren't as good as England. Oh, he's down the line. Oh, he's not. Oh, come on. That we're in. That we're in. Obviously, it's better two-player. I always thought two-player was good when you've got friends. When I used to work at Microphone at Chesterfield, where I used to live, we used to have to kick off 2 tournaments before this came out, and you'd all put 50p in, and the winner got the pot, basically. Oh, super save. Benfica have 4 star players. Well, that's just cheating. Oh, bloody hell, that was a bit silly. What's your favourite way playing up or down? I prefer playing downfield than going up. Oh, I didn't go too slow. Bloody hell. Go back pass, back pass. Oh, you're an expert in either direction. Very nice, Edie. I'm better going. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm better going down. I'm better going in that direction. Oh, there we go. 2 seconds of my favourite direction, and we're in the lead. I think it was because obviously there was different versions, weren't there? With 1.11 and Sensi International Soccer. On one of them, you could score from the corner every time if you did it right. Oh, Mason, wasn't it? I think it's a testament to the game of you can still play it today and it's still as good as when you played it back in the day. Oh. And still have as much fun playing it. A bit like I say, I still play Lotus 2, play it all the time. My favourite level is the snow level. I think it's the same for a lot of people. Oh, off the post twice. Yes. Has every team player in the world that World of Soccer? Did you have that on the Amiga 32 or did you have it on CD 32? Or Amiga 1200, or was it on the 500 as well? Was that 96 that came out? God, what do you think that came out when FIFA had started to come out on the 3DO with the 3D ones? Because that was 96, 95, weren't it? Oh, come off. And the A600. Ace, did you buy an A600 then? Do you know that now is a more sought after machine because of something? I can't. Is it because of the PCMI slot? I think it's. Oh, they've come back. They've come back. It's because I'm chatting and not concentrating. That's my excuse anyway. Oh, come on. The keeper's super keeper. Look, it's super keeper here. Oh, over the top, but not. Oh, I'll take a draw. I'll just have a quick look for that game you mentioned before I go. What was it called? Was it Mech? Roblox. Do you play Roblox, Scott? You think it's going to be a 600? Oh, I don't know if that... Would that be a good thing though? Not because it didn't have the little... Because what about the flight simulators? Was it on the Mega Drive, that game as well? Battletech. I don't know if it's on here, to be honest. I might not have it. Oh, is that it? Battletech, a game of armoured combat. Let's have a look. And was it an official release of this, or was it just... $1994. Kids like it apparently. Yeah, Roblox is the kids thing, isn't it? Use the same game engine. Wow, it reminds me of Walker, but obviously better. Can I collect them or not? Oh yeah. I've never played this. It's right cool. Enemy mech, did it say? Ah, okay, you're stuck, move. I love it. You can buy. Can I build the buildings up? Oh yes. And stomp on them. Oh, I'm overheating. I need to blow that up. Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, is that on Roblox? You can. There's tons of different types of games, isn't there? What do they play that on? Is that on PlayStation 5 then they play that, Scott? Yeah, I do like it. I've never played it before. It's a right good game. This is what I mean. This is why I like emulation so much. I know some people don't like it because it's not official and all. It's not the real thing or the real consoles. But if it weren't for emulation, I would never play games like this I've never played before. And it's like discovering things that you've never seen, and that's what I like about emulation, being able to play new stuff. Oh, I'm dead. Right, people. Well, that's it for tonight. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you everybody for joining the conversation. Thanks Scott and AD and Jambon and Music Man and Andy and Liz and Zan and everybody else who's joined in, and Retro Chef. It always makes it better when people bring their memories and their things to the table, because again, like that game, I've never heard of that game before. If it hadn't been for AD, I'd never have seen it. So that's why I like people joining in, because if we've got the same interest, we can explore new things together. Have a great Christmas, because this is the last stream of this year. Have a great New Year. Don't get too drunk, and I hope Santa brings you all the retro goodies you want. It's all on Plato, on platforms. It's on all platforms. Oh, is that Roblox? Yeah. You too, mate. Yeah, it's a Roblox. Can I say? I know I've got a friend whose kids play it, so I know you can do all sorts of things on it. It sounds really good. Yeah, but everybody have a good Christmas. And Nathan as well, thanks for joining. Yeah, and I shall see you all in the new year. And if there's any ideas you want for streaming or any games, then drop comments down by all means, and we can have a look and see what they like. So yeah, well, thank you for watching. Good night, and God bless.